Welcome back to the channel, tennis fans. And hold on to your seats because we have an absolute bombshell to drop today. If you thought the lead up to the championships at SW19 was going to be business, as usual, you were completely mistaken. We have massive breaking news that is currently sending shockwaves to the international tennis community, lighting up social media and dominating the headlines. Wimbledon tournament director Jamie Baker has just made a monumental, unprecedented decision that has completely stunned fans around the globe. Filipina tennis sensation Alex Eala has officially been granted a direct entry into the Wimbledon main draw. Yes, you heard that absolutely right. The All England club has spoken, and they have recognized the undeniable, unstoppable force that is Alex Eala. This is not just a standard administrative move. This is a historic, paradigm-shifting moment for sport, for the Women's Tennis Association, and especially for the Philippines. For decades, the Wimbledon entry system, particularly regarding discretionary placements and wildcards, has been heavily scrutinized and often criticized for largely favoring British locals, established European mainstays, or fading veterans taking their final lap around the tour. But today, Jamie Baker broke that traditional mold. He looked at the raw, undeniable talent, the recent sheer dominance on grass courts, and the explosive box office appeal of this rising star, and he made a bold call that has the entire tennis world talking. This incredible decision comes right on the heels of Eala's jaw-dropping, historic run during the grass court swing, specifically her phenomenal performance at the WTA 500 event in Berlin. There, she dismantled top-tier competition, taking down Grand Slam champions and firmly cementing her triumphant return to the WTA Top 30. Fans are stunned. Analysts are furiously rewriting their Wimbledon brackets, and the entire landscape of the upcoming grass court major has fundamentally shifted. In today's massive deep dive, we're going to unpack every single angle of this explosive story. We will break down exactly why Jamie Baker made this shocking decision, how Alex Eala effectively forced his hand with her world-class performances, the incredible tactical details of her recent victories over elite players, and what this ultimately means for her chances on the hallowed lawns of Wimbledon. Settle in, because we are diving deep into the absolute biggest pre-Wimbledon bombshell of 2026. To truly understand the magnitude of Jamie Baker's decision, we first have to examine the rigid, heavily guarded traditions of the All England Lawn Tennis and Croquet Club. Wimbledon is famously the most conservative of the 4 Grand Slams. Their entry lists are mathematically strict, and when it comes to any discretionary main draw spots, the committee is notoriously protective. Historically, the priority has been to support domestic talent. The Lawn Tennis Association heavily influences these decisions to ensure British players get the financial and ranking boosts that come with playing in the main draw of a major. When an international player is granted a special entry, it is almost always a former world number 1 returning from injury or a multi-time Grand Slam champion who missed the ranking cutoff. It is exceptionally rare for the tournament director to bypass the traditional queue to elevate a rising international star from Southeast Asia. But Jamie Baker's move here signals a massive shift in philosophy. It shows that Wimbledon is recognized in the changing global landscape of tennis. By placing Alex Eala directly into the main draw, Baker is acknowledging that current form, sheer momentum, and global fan engagement matter just as much as tradition. This decision wasn't made on a whim. It was calculated, deliberate, and entirely earned by the player herself. Baker and the Wimbledon committee watched the same matches we all did over the past few weeks, and they came to the undeniable conclusion that a Wimbledon without Alex Eala in the main draw would be a poorer tournament. They recognize that forcing a player who is currently playing top 10 level tennis to grind through treacherous qualifying rounds at Roehampton would be a disservice to the sport and to the fans who are clamoring to see her on the biggest stages. So, how did Alex Eala compel one of the most traditional sporting institutions in the world to break its own unwritten rules? The answer lies in her sensational 2026 grass court campaign, a run that will be talked about for years to come. Transitioning from clay or hard courts to grass is arguably the most difficult adjustment in professional tennis. The ball bounces lower, skids faster, and demands impeccable footwork, lightning-fast reflexes, and a highly adaptable tactical mindset. Many players spend their entire careers struggling to find their footing on the lush green surface. But Eala has taken to the grass like an absolute natural. displaying a level of mastery that veterans twice her age are still trying to figure out. Let's talk about the Berlin Open, because that tournament was the undeniable turning point that cemented this Wimbledon decision. Eala entered the Berlin tournament with something to prove, but no one could predict the absolute masterclass she was about to deliver. In a span of just a few days, she secured back-to-back victories against two of the most formidable players on the WTA Tour, former Wimbledon champion Elena Rybakina and the endlessly resilient Alina Svitolina. Beating Rybakina on grass is the ultimate litmus test for any player. Rybakina's game is tailor-made for surface. Her massive serve and flat, penetrating ground strokes usually blow opponents off the court before they even have a chance to settle in. But Eala walked onto the court with a fearless, tactical brilliance. She neutralized Rybakina's serve by taking the ball incredibly early, blocking the returns deep down the middle to rob the Kazakhstani of her angles. Furthermore, Eala's ability to slice the ball and keep it exceptionally low forced Rybakina to constantly bend her knees and hit up on the ball, completely disrupting her rhythm. It was a tactical clinic, showing a level of tennis IQ that is incredibly rare. Then came Svitolina, a completely different type of challenge. Svitolina is a master tactician, a counterpuncher who thrives on extending rallies and wearing her opponents down mentally and physically. But Eala refused to play into Svitolina's hands. She dictated the pace, using her heavy, looping forehand to push Svitolina behind the baseline, and then seamlessly transitioned to the net to finish points with crisp, decisive volleys. Eala was aggressive but controlled, hitting her targets with pinpoint precision. These two matches weren't just wins, they were statements. They were Eala telling the entire tennis world that she is no longer just a promising young prospect. She is an elite contender capable of dismantling the very best players in the world on the most challenging surface. And her dominance wasn't limited to Berlin. Let's not forget the absolute thriller at the Lexus Birmingham Open against Rebecca Mazurova. In a grueling, high-stakes final set, Eala showed a level of mental fortitude that is a hallmark of a future Grand Slam champion. Mazurova is a fierce competitor with a massive game, and in that deciding set, the pressure was suffocating. But while other players might have tightened up or played it safe, Eala elevated her game. She served with phenomenal accuracy, finding the corners when she needed them most, and she hit winners down the line with absolute ice in her veins. Winning that decider in Birmingham proved that Eala isn't just a great ball striker. She is a clutch performer who thrives under the brightest lights and the heaviest pressure. This incredible string of performances has catapulted Eala back into the WTA Top 30, a milestone that carries immense significance. Breaking into the top 30 is a massive psychological barrier. It means you are no longer the hunter. You are becoming the hunted. You are guaranteed entry into the biggest events. You start receiving seedings that protect you in the early rounds. And you are a level of respect in the locker room that cannot be bought. For Alex Eala, returning to the top 30 is a testament to her relentless work ethic, her resilience through the inevitable ups and downs of professional tour, and her unwavering belief in her own abilities. And it is this exact ranking and momentum that made Jamie Baker's decision not just justifiable, but necessary. The reaction from the fans, the media, and the wider tennis community has been nothing short of explosive. The moment the news broke that Eala was granted main draw entry, social media absolutely erupted. The reaction is deeply multifaceted and incredibly fascinating to analyze. First, you have the massive, passionate Filipino fan base. The Philippines has a rich sporting culture, but professional tennis has rarely seen a Filipina superstar reaching these heights on the global stage. Eala is not just representing herself. She is carrying the hopes and dreams of an entire nation. For her fans, this Wimbledon main draw entry is a validation of her immense talent and a moment of profound national pride. The outpouring of love, support, and excitement online is a testament to the fact that Eala is becoming a transcendent figure in Asian sports. She is inspiring a whole new generation of young athletes in the Philippines and across Southeast Asia to pick up a racket and believe that they too can compete on the lawns of Wimbledon. But the reaction goes far beyond national pride. The broader tennis community is buzzing because this decision feels like a breath of fresh air. Tennis fans are incredibly astute. They know when a player is on fire, and they want to see the most informed players competing in the main draw of the majors. There is a general consensus that forcing Eala to play qualifiers would have been absurd given her recent victories over top 10 players. However, as with any major decision in sports, there is a vocal contingent of traditionalists and critics who have pushed back. Some argue that wildcard entries and main draw bumps should strictly adhere to established protocols, favoring domestic players to support the local tennis ecosystem. They argue that Jamie Baker is setting a dangerous precedent by bowing to recent form and fan popularity rather than sticking to the rigid mathematical rankings that dictate the entry list weeks in advance. But this is exactly why the story is so compelling. It sits at the intersection of tradition and meritocracy. Jamie Baker's decision forces us to ask a fundamental question. What is the purpose of a discretionary main draw entry? Is it a charitable handout to local players? Or is it a tool to ensure that the tournament features the absolute highest level of competition possible? By choosing Eala, Baker has loudly declared that Wimbledon prioritizes world-class tennis above all else. He has recognized that Eala's presence in the main draw elevates the prestige and the excitement of the tournament. When you have a player who has just beaten the likes of Rybakina and Svitolina, placing her in the main draw isn't a favor. It's a competitive necessity. Let's take a moment to dive deep into the technical aspects of Alex Eala's game, because her success on grass is a fascinating study in biomechanics and tactical adaptation. Grass court tennis is a unique beast. The rallies are shorter, the ball stays incredibly low, and serving effectively is paramount. Eala's game has evolved spectacularly to meet these demands. Historically, Eala built her foundation on clay and hard courts, where she could use her heavy topspin to push opponents back. But on grass, heavy topspin can sometimes be a liability because the ball sits up perfectly in the opponent's strike zone. Eala recognized this and made brilliant adjustments. She has flattened out her forehand, hitting to the ball with significantly more pace and less spin, allowing the ball to skid off the grass and rush her opponents. Furthermore, her movement on the surface is sublime. Moving on grass requires tiny, rapid adjustment steps. You cannot slide into your shots the way you do on clay. Eala has demonstrated exceptional lower body strength and balance, staying remarkably low to the ground to dig out heavily sliced balls. Speaking of the slice, Eala has integrated a biting backhand slice into her repertoire, which is an absolute weapon on grass. She uses it not just offensively to buy time, but offensively, keeping the ball at her opponent's shoelaces, making it nearly impossible for them to generate power on the reply. And then there is her serve. To succeed at Wimbledon, you need free points on your serve. Eala has clearly spent countless hours refining her service motion. She is hitting her spots with lethal accuracy, particularly her slider out wide on the ad court, which pulls her opponents entirely off the screen and opens up the entire court for a devastating first strike forehand. Her transition game has also improved exponentially. She is no longer content to just rally from the baseline. She is actively looking for short balls, attacking the net with confidence, and putting away volleys with a soft, authoritative touch. This all-court, aggressive style of play is exactly what wins matches at Wimbledon. She is playing proactive, first-strike tennis, and it is a nightmare for anyone on the other side of the net. Looking ahead to the tournament itself, the implications of Eala being in the main draw are massive for the entire field. No seeded player wants to see Eala's name next to theirs in the first round. She is the ultimate dangerous floater. Because she is coming in with immense confidence, unmatched match practice on the surface, and a giant killing reputation, she has the potential to bust brackets wide open from day one. If she draws a top seed early in the tournament, we could be looking at a massive upset in the opening days of the championships. Let's contextualize her current momentum by looking at her compelling rivalry with Linda Noskova, which has been a major storyline during this grass court swing. The dynamic between Eala and Noskova is fascinating. Noskova has historically been a thorn in Eala's side, a player who seemingly possessed a tactical antidote to Eala's game. But their recent clashes on grass have shown a rapidly closing gap. Eala's mental resilience in these high-stakes matchups has proven that she is learning, adapting, and refusing to be intimidated by past results. Every time she steps on the court against a rival like Noskova, she gathers invaluable data, adjusting her patterns of play and finding new ways to exploit weaknesses. This ability to learn and evolve mid-match is a hallmark of a seasoned veteran. Yet Eala is executing it at such a young age. It proves that she possesses not just the physical tools, but the elite tennis intellect required to navigate the grueling 2-week marathon of a Grand Slam. The decision by Jamie Baker also shines a spotlight on the evolving landscape of the WTA Tour. Women's tennis is currently experiencing a phenomenal era of depth and competitiveness. The days of one or two players dominating every tournament are over. On any given day, a player ranked outside the top 10 can absolutely decimate a top seed. Eala is the perfect embodiment of this new era. She represents a fearless generation of players who do not care about the pedigree or the ranking of the person across the net. They step onto the court believing they belong there, and they have the firepower to back it up. By granting Eala this main draw spot, Wimbledon is embracing this thrilling unpredictability. They are acknowledging that the most exciting stories in sports often come from the rising stars who disrupt the established hierarchy. As we look toward the immediate future, all eyes are going to be on the Wimbledon draw ceremony. The suspense is going to be palpable. Who will Eala draw in the first round? Will she face a seasoned grass court specialist? Or will she be matched up against another young gun looking to make their mark? Regardless of who she plays, one thing is absolutely certain. Center court, court number 1, or whichever show court she steps onto will be packed to the rafters. The atmosphere is going to be electric. The global tennis audience will be tuning in to see if the Filipina sensation can translate her incredible warm-up form into Grand Slam glory. This isn't just a story about a tennis tournament anymore. It's a story about breaking barriers, defying expectations, and seizing the moment when the spotlight is at its brightest. Jamie Baker's shocking decision has elevated Eala from a dark horse to a headline act. It has added a layer of immense intrigue and excitement to a tournament that is already steeped in drama and prestige. Eala has earned every single bit of this recognition. She has put in the grueling hours of training. She has traveled the globe. She has suffered the heartbreaking losses. And she has risen above them to play the best tennis of her life at the exact right moment. As we wrap up this extensive deep dive, it's impossible to overstate just how significant this moment is. The 2026 Wimbledon Championships are shaping up to be one of the most unpredictable, thrilling tournaments in recent memory, and Eala is sitting right at the epicenter of the excitement. Will she make a deep run into the second week? Does she have what it takes to hoist the Venus Rosewater dish? Only time will tell. But what we do know right now is that the tennis world is watching. The fans are ready, and Eala is thoroughly prepared to take the hallowed lawns of Wimbledon by storm. Thank you all so much for tuning in to this deep dive analysis. The situation is constantly evolving, and as the draw is announced and the matches begin, you can be sure we will be here to break down every single serve, volley, and stunning upset. Now, I want to turn it over to you, the fans. What do you think about Jamie Baker's unprecedented decision? Was placing Eala directly into the main draw the right move, or do you think the traditional entry rules should have been strictly enforced? How far do you honestly think she can go in the tournament this year? Drop your thoughts, predictions, and opinions down in the comment section below, because I love reading through your perspectives and it always sparks an incredible debate. If you enjoyed this highly detailed breakdown and want more comprehensive tennis coverage just like this, please make sure to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you never miss an update during this thrilling Grand Slam season. Enjoy the tennis. Keep your eyes on Eala, and I will see you all in the next video.